The Canon C400 has been our A-cam for the past 6 months now, and throughout the projects we shot with it, we created a rig that is perfect for the type of shooting we do. We're a small team, so we use Canon lenses for autofocus and V-mount batteries to quickly swap when the battery is low. Because we mostly shoot handheld and on the shoulder, we needed to make a rig that is lightweight with a monitor that is placed perfectly for those two types of shooting. You'll see that all the accessories we picked out for this build were chosen specifically to achieve those goals, while not costing an arm and a leg. So without further ado, let's build a cinema camera. Let's start with the accessories from Canon that always stay on the camera. First is the original Canon side grip, and because it's so comfortable and has all the controls we need, we decided to keep it permanently on the camera. Next is the Canon BPA-30, which we use instead of the supplied BPA-60 because it doesn't protrude as far from the back of the camera, and this allows us to put a V-mount plate behind the camera without it being angled. Also, this means that even if the V-mount battery gets disconnected, you always have power to the camera. Every rig build starts with a cage, and we chose the Condor Blue cage. We decided on this one because it's a half-cage design, which means that it doesn't cover up this side of the camera and doesn't relocate the grip. What we realized is that other cages, which are full cages, move the side handle forward a bit, which messes with the balance of the handles once your rig is fully built. The first neat feature of this cage is that the top plate is 3 pieces, which means you can remove the center one and you have a perfect spot to use the original Canon top handle. This is something we did for a couple of months after getting the cage before figuring out which aftermarket top handle we wanted. But nowadays we use the full cage with the center top plate. One of the reasons we use the center plate is that it has 2 NATO rails, which lets us use a Hollywood style top handle that's also quick release. You also get a NATO rail and an aero rosette on the left side of the cage, which gives you many options to attach a side handle. The cage also has a ton of 1/4-20 and 3/8 holes, most of them with locating holes, which is great to securely attach accessories. Finally, one of the most important things about this cage is the fact that it's super lightweight. The next piece is a Manfrotto base plate, and we use this one from Small Rig because it's compatible with Ronin gimbals and most Manfrotto tripods. Also, it's pretty much the perfect length for the C400. The lens that lives on this camera is our trusty Canon RF 24-70 f2.8 L series lens. We like to use this lens and the 15-35 f2.8 because they're the same size and they're smaller, lighter, and cheaper than Canon's new 24-105 f2.8. The 24-70 and 15-35 are great lenses known to be sharp, have good autofocus and stabilization, and they fit on all of our cameras. To distribute power to a camera, we use the Tilta V-mount plate. We chose this one because it's the only cheap option that has good output options. It has 2D taps, 2 USB-Cs, a 2-pin LEMO, and a USB-A output. And you can even input 45 watts into the plate. Of course, because this plate is made specifically for the C400, it has the 4-pin XLR to go into the camera directly. What we like about it is the fact that it's super compact and swivels out to let you remove the BPA-30. And the downside is that it doesn't have an on-off switch. This means that if you have a V-mount on it, it's always going to slowly drain the battery even if all of your accessories are off. It's not a big issue for us because we always remove the V-mount when we're not using the camera. Our batteries are Shape's new 99 Wh mini V-mount batteries. We like them because they can charge via USB-C power delivery, and they have a screen indicating the battery percentage and the power draw. They're also compact and nice looking. Really, we can recommend pretty much any mini V-mount battery as long as they have a USB-C PD for charging and a screen. Moving on to our custom top handle, we made it using parts from AliExpress. We would have liked to have the Condor Blue Hollywood handle, but it's super expensive and this one is a good alternative. Essentially, we found a cheap NATO top handle on AliExpress, bought 2 of them and made a custom wooden grip. This way it matches with our wooden side handle. It goes on the rig super easily because of the NATO rails and NATO clamps, and because of the 2 attachment points, it's super sturdy. To comfortably support the whole weight of the camera, you need a side handle, and we chose this wooden side handle from Small Rig because it's the most comfortable handle ever. This one comes with an aero rosette connection, so you need an aero rosette to NATO adapter to fit it on the cage. Unfortunately, Small Rig has discontinued this handle, but they now offer a new version which comes with a NATO attachment as standard. Moving on to the monitor we chose the Viltrox DCX3 because it is by far the best option for pretty much any camera camera rig. It's basically 5 times cheaper than any comparable option. The screen is 2000 nits, you have all the monitoring tools that you could ever want, and it has HDMI and SDIs in and out. You can power it with NPF batteries, USB-C Type-C or DC. The monitor comes with an NPF battery, a sun hood, a monitor mount, and a screen protector. Honestly, after searching for a while to find the perfect monitor for us, we can't recommend this option enough. To mount our monitor on the camera, we use this Silta NATO to NATO monitor mount. So of course we added a NATO rail on the top handle and one on the monitor, and this one has air relocating pins to make sure it doesn't spin. We found this to be the most solid option to mount your monitor on the camera while allowing you to easily move the monitor with only one hand. Also, it makes it super easy to transition from shooting handheld to on the shoulder. The only downside we found with this monitor mount is that even when the knobs are super tight, they can rattle a little bit, which makes noise, but you can easily fix that by adding a tiny piece of electrical tape under the knobs. We also added a cold shoe behind our top handle, and it's the perfect spot to add an audio receiver like the Rode News Shooter or the Rode Wireless Pros. No matter what we're shooting, we always have a shotgun microphone on top of the camera. This can be great backup audio or in case we need audio for a specific shot. The one we use is the D80 S Mic 2S because we found it to be the best short XLR shotgun mic. It produces super high quality audio and it's made for outdoor use. Just make sure you also buy a dead cat for it because it only comes with a foam windshield. The S Mic 3S, which is the new version of this microphone, is now available, but we got this one because we found it used at a good price. To attach the microphone, we just used the Canon mic holder that comes with the camera because we found it to be the best, most compact option. The only issue with using the Canon mic holder is that the S Mic 2S is too slim to fit in it. So we just added electrical tape on the mic and now you can clamp it in place. As you can see, this way of mounting the microphone makes it so it's never in the way of the monitor or anything else on the rig. Let's move on to the last major accessory for this rig, and it's the small rig mini mat box. Even though the C400 already has internal ND filters, we love to use this mat box for a couple of reasons. First, just like if you were using a sun hood, the mat box cuts out unwanted flares, and because we live in Canada and it snows a good part of the year, the top flag is great to keep snow from going on the lens. And like everyone says, it also looks cool. Having reliable audio cables is super important, but unfortunately good options cost a lot. Thankfully, we found a super cheap option on Amazon that is reliable. This mini XLR to full-size XLR cable has been out for a long time, and Blackmagic Pocket users only have good things to say about it. We bought one a couple months ago to test it out and we totally agree with them. And it turns out it's the perfect length for our rig. To power a monitor, we use an 18-inch USB-C cable which is right-angled on both ends. And for our feed, we used a coiled HDMI cable which has a down angle on one end. And the reason we went with a coiled HDMI cable is that you can pass the other cables through this one, making a cleaner cable run. As you can see, the USB-C goes through the HDMI cable for a while before branching out and going to the left side of the V-mount plate. After that, it's the XLR cable that passes through the HDMI cable, and they both go into their respective spots. And the way we make sure our cables don't move out of place is with Mondo ties. There's a ton of types of cable hooks like these, but we like the Mondo ties because they're super sturdy and they screw right into the cage. And with that, our Canon C400 rig is finished. And that's it. This is the ultimate Canon C400 lightweight handheld rig we've been working on for the past 6 months. Most of the time it stays exactly as is, but if we're using cinema lenses, we add a small rig low-profile 15mm rod baseplate between the cage and the Manfrotto baseplate. This lets us add a lens support for heavy lenses and a follow focus. The other thing we sometimes add on is the stock touchscreen. We can add it to the left side of the cage using a small rig monitor mount. But we almost never use it because the buttons and menus on this camera are very intuitive. Overall, there's nothing specific we would change about this rig. It fits our needs pretty much perfectly, and at 15 pounds, it's heavier than a rigged out mirrorless camera, but it's as light as you can get with a complete cinema rig. Thanks to the V-mount battery, you can cradle the camera on your chest comfortably and support it on your shoulder for higher angle shots. Having two side handles helps distribute the weight way better than having one hand under the lens, and it keeps your back more straight. The thing that has become apparent to us is that even though this rig is as light as it can be, investing into an easy rig would be a lifesaver on long shoot days, because most of the time after 8 hours of shooting, my back does start hurting a bit. Anyways, we hope this video has been helpful to you if you're trying to rig out your cinema camera, or that you get inspired to modify your camera to fit your production needs. Tell us in the comments what type of rig you would like us to tackle next, and if you enjoy our content, please follow us on our socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until our next video, bye-bye.